So become a sales superstar. We are continuing with part number 8. It is based on a training by Brian Tracy. Today, number 13 and number 14, we are looking at. Number 13 is handling objections. Very, very essential part of any sales, anywhere, anybody doing. Not necessarily network marketing, but anybody, these are standard steps. And number 14 is closing the sale. Such a crucial point, but many of us get stuck over here. So 21 keys to peak performance selling. Number 13, handling objections effectively. So the fact is, see, the perception that we have of objections is that, oh my God, there is an objection. And, we get either we go on a back foot, or we feel uncomfortable, or we feel like, why is this person asking so many questions? But if you see it from any of the top salespeople's perspective, what they say is objections are good to have, because objections indicate that the person has an interest. That is why he's asking questions. That's why he's asking you uncomfortable questions, because he wants to address all those questions for himself or herself. So therefore, remember, set it in your mind, reset it in your mind that objections are good, because objections indicate an interest. And a successful sales process, if you are a part of a successful sales process, remember that you will have 2 times more objections as compared to unsuccessful sales process. So that means if you are having more and more objections, then it's an indication that you're working well on a sales process, and you have to keep at it. We will look at various aspects related to this. Just because there is objection, if you go on a backtrack, then the whole thing will slip back. Notwithstanding the objection, you keep going ahead. That's the way to go forward. So now here is a very relatively simplified perspective of how I'm handling objections. This is definitely useful enough for you to start off. But what I will try and do in the coming weeks and months is to have a very detailed process of handling objections that we will go through. So to handle objections effectively, what is it that is needed from our side when somebody is raising an objection? First, hear out your lead or contact or your prospect. Hear them out completely. Okay, without interrupting them, you hear them out. One of the best things that we can do for anybody in any situation, in your sales, or for that matter, even in our personal lives, is be willing to hear what the other person is saying. That itself makes a lot of difference, right? Now, the process of hearing completely without interrupting, this process of listening will build trust. So remember that this is not an empty thing that you're just sitting and listening. With all seriousness, with all attentiveness, we listen to what the person is trying to say, and we are sincerely trying to address all their questions. So listening builds trust. Even when objection is there, if you listen intently without interrupting, it will build trust. Remember this. So how do you handle an objection? So this is a recommended set of steps. The first step is that we compliment or acknowledge the objection that the person is having. You could use the words, "That's a good question. Let me see if I can answer it for you." We are acknowledging the question that the other person is asking. Okay, acknowledge it as a good question, because see, there are at so many levels, these are so many, a typical sales process, it is so much well researched, and they have found that there is so much of psychology that is involved in the process, that if you understand the nuances of the psychology, you can actually crack things fantastic, very, very well. So first, compliment the objection, acknowledge the objection, and say that it's a very good question. Let me see if I can answer it. And there are 3 ways that you can respond to any objection. Let's look at that. First, response. Response number 1. Pause, smile, and then ask this question. How do you mean? Now, the interesting thing about this question, how do you mean, is that it is almost impossible not to answer this question. They have to give extra detail. They have to go into extra depth. So one of the very interesting things that there is another of Brian Tracy's training session, which I had listened to some many months ago. one of the key things that he was saying is that the person who is asking the question, he is the person who is in control of the conversation. So now the basic question is this: are you the person asking the question, or is the prospect of yours is the person asking all the questions and you're the one giving all the answers? If you can make a situation where continuously you are asking questions and having them respond more and more, you will be the one who is in control of the conversation also. Remember this. So this very, very simple looking question, how do you mean? It is almost impossible not to answer this question. Okay. And it can be used repeatedly in the middle of one conversation itself. You can use this question repeatedly, or you can use a variant of it where you can say, how do you mean exactly? It's almost the same thing. You're asking in a slightly different way. That's all. You can use this repeatedly and multiple times and in combination with the response options 2 and 3 also, right? So very, very simple and basic thing. Pause, smile, and ask, how do you mean? And it's, they will say something. If you want more clarity, how do you mean exactly? They will keep answering. And the more they kind of see, many times the prospect themselves does not have clarity of what he is asking, he or she is asking. So in the process of asking questions, we are enabling them to think clearly also. Response number 2, pause, smile, and ask this question. Obviously, you have a good reason for saying that, whatever is that objection. Do you mind if I ask, what is that? See, they may just say that, look, right now I don't think that I would like to go ahead with this. So obviously, you have a very good reason for saying that. Do you mind if I ask what it is? More often than not, the customer does not have a good reason for objecting. Many times, this is the way it is, that they don't really have a very good reason for objecting. And therefore, this kind of a question will get that aspect out. That if they don't have a very strong reason, then that will come out in the conversation. Okay. And in the same conversation, you can use the response number 1. How do you mean? Or how do you mean exactly? You can ask it in the middle. When he's, whatever they may have said, you can introduce this and have them keep on responding. Response number 3. This is a very, very beautiful method, very, very beautiful way to do it. For this, the way it works is that if you have many stories with you, that means you have multiple experiences, could be yours, could be your contacts, or you have seen YouTube videos, or any which way there are experiences that you have, you can use this. Feel, felt, found method. What is it? When the customer responds with an objection, for example, they may say, oh, it costs too much. Okay. You can reply by saying, I know exactly how you feel. My other friend, he felt the same way when he heard about the price. But this is what they found when they started using the product. What are you doing? You're acknowledging their feeling first. Whatever they are feeling, you're not pushing it down or all that. And you're saying that he or she is not alone in that experience. There are other people. It could be you also. You can say, this is exactly how I felt when I heard it for the first time. Right? Whichever way it is true for you. See, remember that don't create fake stories or fake situations. You will find enough and more genuine cases. If you are really in the business, you will generate enough and more stories for you to tell to every other customer that you're finding. Okay. So you're telling the story of acknowledging what the person felt, and you're saying there is this other person who also felt it the same way, but when they started using the product, this was their experience. So you're telling how the situation, you're acknowledging them and saying how the situation was for somebody and what did they do and what was the result they found. This is a story, a very simple format of a story. Like this, if you just keep collecting stories, there will be enough and more things that you can talk about. Very, very powerful system. Feel, felt, found method. So I hope you're able to recognize what I'm saying when I say feel, felt, found. I know exactly how you feel. So you're introducing the word feel here. My other friend felt the same way when he heard about the price. The word felt has been used here. But this is what they found when they started using it. The word found has been used. Okay. Now, once you have said this, Then go on to explain the benefits that the customer will get. You tell him how the customer is going to benefit far more. Let us say it is in the context of cost. You can tell them things about how much benefit they are going to have and how it will outweigh the cost. So it gives you room to talk about, see, now the moment there is an objection, now when you say this, that there was somebody else who went through it and this is what they experienced, and then you're explaining. That means you're having an opportunity to carry the conversation further. It is not that the moment the objection comes, you don't know what to say and the whole conversation is stuck. Remember that if you keep asking these questions, what exactly do you mean? How do you mean? Or how do you mean exactly? When you're asking these questions, you are ensuring that the conversation keeps going on. Okay, so the whole idea, if you listen to Eric Worre's training sessions, he says that the follow-up process is basically moving from one appointment to the next appointment. That means in this conversation, you're fixing time for the next conversation. That's all you're doing. Just continuing, ensuring that the conversation keeps going on. Just ensure that the conversation doesn't stop. That's all. At some point, the transition will happen. Okay, right. Now, this is the important point. Please watch this carefully. A very, very important point with regards to objection. This is a data of USA, but I would say probably in India also, this point is largely true. 94% of all sales are not made on the basis of price. Price is not the deciding factor when somebody is buying something. At the end of the day, it is an emotional decision. For almost all people, any purchase that is made is an emotional decision. You look at anything that you have purchased anywhere, anytime. It is ultimately an emotional decision. So 94% of all sales are not made on the basis of price, which means that almost every price-based objection, that means if somebody is saying price is high, that is not a valid reason. There is actually some other reason. Okay. And that actual reason is what you have to try and find out. Your job is to find the real reason. Okay. So if price is not the reason of the objection and there is actually some other reason, and it is your job to find that real reason. If you find that real reason, then you can address it and then we can take the conversation forward and maybe even close the sale. Right. Here is a nice quote. An objection is not a rejection. Please get this clearly in our head. An objection is not a rejection. It is simply a request for more information. This is a statement made by this person named Bo Bennett, who's the founder and CEO of this online. They create these online e-books, ebookit.com. Bo Bennett. An objection is not a rejection. It's simply a request for more information. So please get this thing in your mind that objection means, oh my God, objection. No, it's fantastic to have objection. Okay, right. The next key to peak performance selling is closing the sale. Such a crucial thing, and many people unfortunately miss it at this point. All the conversation is over, but at the end of it, this step doesn't happen. So what does it mean by closing the sale? At the end of the sales presentation or the sales process, your ability to ask for the order is critical to your success. Do not expect that the other person will just follow themselves and say, okay, chalo, let me, tell me how to place the order. It will happen in some cases. But in most cases, you have to ask for it. Your ability to ask, how skillfully and how effectively you can ask for this order is going to decide it's a critical point in your success. Why this is so important is, see, you have done all the conversation, you have handled all the objection, everything is over. But at the end of it, if it doesn't get converted to a sale, all that effort is lost, right? And that converting into a sale, this step is crucial, closing the sale. So let's look at how to do it effectively. There have been tens of thousands of sales presentations that have been videotaped and studied. And they have looked at exactly how the best salespeople in the world, what do they do most of the time to close the sale? And what they do is what we are discussing now. 3 methods that you can use to close the sale. Actually, I came across Brian Tracy's, there are some 20 different methods for closing a sale. What I'll do is that sometime again in future, we will have an exclusive session only on sales closing. And we will look at all those 20 techniques, 20 or as many techniques that are there. But right now we are looking at 3 methods that you can use to close the sale. Before that, before closing the sale, ask this question. Dear Mr. So-and-so, Mr. Prospect, do you have any questions or concerns that I have not covered so far? If he says no, that means the handling objections phase is over and we are moving into the phase of closing the sale. Then lean forward and ask him or her for a buying decision. You have to explicitly ask. How to ask is what we are going to look at. Method number 1, simplest of all. You just say, well then, why don't you give it a try? Or you can say, well then, if you like it, why don't you take it? You are just straight, you're suggesting to them that you place the order, right? Now, the interesting thing is that this is a disarmingly effective closing technique. Very, very, looks so simple. You're saying, well then, why don't you give it a try? Okay. And then they may say some story, then again, handle whatever that objection is. Keep the conversation going. Just remember this in your mind. Just keep the conversation going. It's not that today I'm saying, right now conversation is going, don't prolong it now. I'm not saying like that. I'm saying if they say, okay, they will get back after 2 days, get back after 2 days. But just ensure that the conversation keeps going on. Okay. So this simple statement of, well then, why don't you give it a try? Or, well then, if you like it, why don't you take it? It's a disarmingly effective closing technique. And you can reinforce this question with, I will take care of all the details. Just reassure them. Like what we do generally when Sujata is telling people that way, you place the order or you transfer the money or we'll send you the link and you place the order. She says that you just do that and let me know that you place the order. After that, I will follow up with the company and ensure that it is delivered to you. Okay. When you reassure them like this, the customer, see, many times they don't realize how much they want it. And when you may say that, look, you don't worry about it, I'll take care of everything else. Then they will just grab the thing. Because that thing will be there that, oh God, I'm placing an order. No, I don't know. Will it come? Will it not come? You're reassuring them that I will take care of it. Don't worry about it. Right. Method number 2 is what is called a directive close. You say, well, then the next step is this. You describe the entire plan of action and wrap up the sale as if the lead has said, I will take it. The lead has not yet said that I will take it. But your entire conversation is going as if the person has already said that I will take it. So you're taking it for granted that they have said they will take it, and you're telling them that, okay, now the next step is I will share this store link with you, and you can go to open the link and actually just place the order. Select this item and place the order. Or you tell them that you please transfer so much money to my account. I will share, you can do it over Google Pay, and I will place the order for you. Okay, you are treating them at this step, at this point. This is what's the directive close. As if they've already said, I will take it, you're telling them what to do next. Okay, and again, reinforce it with saying, I will take care of all the details. Once you place the order, just let me know, tell me a screenshot, and I will ensure that I'll follow up with the company and ensure that the product is delivered to you. Don't worry, right? This is the most popular closing technique used by the highest paid salespeople in every industry. This is the most popular technique that is used. Okay. Next, method number 3. This is an authorization close. Now, this authorization close, in our current context, you may feel it's not relevant, but if you are with a person face to face, this thing can be effectively used, particularly if there is a sign up. We actually have a sign up form. I'll explain it and then I'll tell you what I mean. At the end of the sales conversation, take out the order form. Yeah, in our case, we are talking of sales. We don't have an order form. You can actually just say that, okay, now let's open the website and just help them place the order, kind of thing, right? So if it is a sign up for the business, then we have a form and you just get them to fill out the form. Just the process of filling out the form becomes a commitment. And this is again a psychological step. Okay, this is again well researched in psychology. So take out the order form, put a cross over wherever they have to sign, and request them to sign it and push the form across. Just request them to fill out the form and sign it. Another very, very important point. Research, all this, what I'm telling right now is not from here, it is from another book. They have found that there is a difference between you filling the form and asking a person to sign and them filling the form and signing it themselves. The difference in the commitment to make a purchase or go ahead with the arrangement or go ahead with the contract is much, much higher if the individual fills the form himself or herself. Okay, so push the form across, put across, and have them fill out the form and sign it. And then you say, well, then, if you just authorize this, we will get started right away. Okay, now this is in the context of if, in our case, in our business, if there is a prospect whom we are wanting to sign up for the business, then we have a form. And if you're sitting face to face with them, just hand over the form, get it filled up. That's one level of commitment that they will make. Often, again, the customer does not realize how badly they want it until you offer to get them started straight away. The moment they realize that the process is started, they will, the next steps will follow, because they themselves don't realize that actually, oh my God, it's so important for me. So remember, here is the very, very important aspect. This and the subsequent slides, please watch carefully, because this can make a difference to you, a heaven and earth difference to you. Please watch carefully and listen carefully. So remember, the future belongs to the askers. The future belongs to people who ask. The future belongs to people who ask for appointment, ask for information, and ask for an order. Never be afraid to ask for what you want. This is the key to making sales. Please remember this. Asking is we just don't even realize how important asking is. Okay, we don't even ask. Most of the time, we are not asking. Okay, without hesitation, ask. There are some more slides, and we will look at it in great detail. This one word, ask, is one magic word, just 3 letters. It's a magical word. Why? Ask, and you can actually go beyond any and every requirement in your life. You just don't realize how powerful this asking is. It could be your health, it could be financial, it could be social, any area of your life. If you're stuck up, just try this technique, ask. Every successful person in the world has used this technique of asking. And remember, why does it work? Because a crying baby always gets the milk. The person who keeps asking, the person who keeps following up, he or she is the person who succeeds at the end. Ask and you shall receive. Because, again, this is something that is very, very well researched. The natural tendency of ours, we are kind of hardwired that if somebody, you just imagine, you're on the road and just somebody is asking for a help. Okay, your initial reaction will be to see if you can help them. Okay, if someone asks you for help, our natural tendency is to reply to them and give them, if you can give it to them then and there, you will try and give it to them. Okay, you just think of it. So many things. Somebody has just sent a message. I've noticed it, so it just regularly happens to me. Somebody just asked me something on WhatsApp and all that. Somehow it just gets stuck in my head and I see, okay, something I'll try and do. Whatever best is possible, I do it. Okay. Remember that people are ready to help, but you need to ask. Without asking, it will not happen. It will not trigger. Okay. How to ask? Always ask with respect, with faith, okay, with sweetness, okay, with firmness and commitment. Don't do a half-hearted process of asking. Whatever you ask with firmness and commitment, and ask repeatedly. This is something that we fail in. That we think, oh, I have asked and they are not responded. No, it doesn't work like that. Ask repeatedly and ask to many people. Again, the fundamental mistake that we are making most of our cases in sales is that we are not reaching out to sufficient number of people. Just go all out and reach. Just go all out and ask. Just see what magic happens. Okay. So always ask with respect, with faith, with sweetness, with firmness and commitment, and ask repeatedly and ask to many. And never ask with aggression, never ask as if it is a right, that, it's my right to have it, or, you are kind of looking down upon them. Never ask like that. And never ask as if you are begging them. Never approach an asking process as if you are, pleading with them, please do it. No, not at all. That's where this firmness and commitment is very important. You be clear. With all dignity, you are asking. Okay. Now, what is it that you should do before you ask? You remember the last few sessions, a few weeks ago, we saw this, that if before you ask, if you are able to give them value, so therefore, before you ask, you give them. See what is it that you can give them. In what way can you add value to their life? Give them praise. Okay. Give them acknowledgement. Give them gratitude. Okay. Give them thankfulness. What I'm trying to say is that if you approach your asking with this attitude inside you, the whole process of asking will be a completely different thing. And after you ask, remember that you may face rejection, and that does not matter. You have to kind of get it hardwired into your head that rejection is a path to success. Okay. So remember that the law of averages will apply. 80-20 rule will apply. Out of 100 people you ask, you will get success with 10% or 20% only. So just go all out and ask. It doesn't matter. Okay. And there is something that we call the why factor. So in this whole conversation that you've had, okay, you've asked so many questions and all that. Somewhere you will realize what is their why factor. What is it that really motivates them, or what is their real reason why? Let's say if you're talking about our InterSviva products, okay, if you can clearly identify what is the real reason why they need a particular product, or if it is a business opportunity, what is the real reason why they need money? How will it help them if they have more money? The real reason. Okay. For example, it could be that they have a huge EMI to pay, or somebody may have a situation where they want their child's education, they want to fund. If you can find that why factor, then you can approach the conversation using that why factor. So that why factor identification is very important. So after you ask, remember that you'll face rejection. The law of averages will work. And remember to follow up using the why factor. Ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and it will be opened for you. For everyone who asks receives. He who seeks finds. And him who knocks, it will be opened. I don't know if you have guessed where this quote is from. This quote is from the Bible. Okay. And the context of this quote, of course, is from a spiritual context. And it's very, very powerfully true there. But the point is the power of asking. You can apply it in any and every area of your life. Ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find it. Knock and it will be open for you. For everyone who asks will receive. He who seeks will find. And him who knocks will be opened. So remember, your life will change only and only if you ask. Please get this clearly in your head. We'll be continuing with subsequent key aspects. I hope today's session was like very eye-opening and aha for you. Thank you very much.